Hey, this is Kalila McCoy, and you're tuned in to the podcast that's all about growing together. This is Where We Rise. Hey there, thank you for joining me today. This is such an exciting week for me. First, this week, DJ and I have been celebrating our anniversary. We have been married for 9 years, y'all. Woohoo! We love each other deeply and have so much fun together, but our relationship isn't always rainbows and butterflies. We've worked through a lot and continue to improve, but we are committed to the promise we made to each other and to God to grow together and act in love. So that leads me to the second exciting thing happening this week. Today's episode is the first of its kind here on Where We Rise. I am in the studio with 4 lovely ladies who mean so much to me. As many of you know, I'm a school teacher. I used to teach 4th grade, and the women you're hearing today and I made up a fabulous 4th grade team. We evolved from coworkers to true friends, and we always have the best time just being together. Even though we are no longer all on the same team, we still show up for each other, support each other, and we have the best conversations. So I invited these women, Amy Halsey, Laura Ellis, Kate Ring, and Shannon Griffin, to share their perspectives on marriage. We come from different backgrounds, we span different ages, and we've lived very different lives, but we all agree on this. Marriage is precious, and it's something we continually work on. I sent them 15 questions about marriage, and during our conversation, they could ask anyone they wanted. None of us knew which question was coming, so we had to be ready for them all. And listen, I'm usually the one asking the questions, so I had to sit with myself and really think about what I wanted to say. It is hard being on a podcast, y'all. But I am so moved and impressed by the wisdom this group brought to the table, and I cannot wait to share it with you. So let's get into this conversation. Get comfortable, grab a notepad, and be ready for honesty, laughter, tears, and the kind of truth that only comes from women who have lived it. All right, ladies, we are here to talk and share about marriage. I am looking forward to hearing what you have to say and seeing what questions you picked. Some were hard for me to come up with answers to, so I've just found out that I've been married the least amount of time, so I'm here for your wisdom along with our listeners. So we'll just go through, and you're going to tell us your name, how many years you've been married, and how you met your husband. So first we have...
I'm Amy. This June will be our 31st anniversary. I met my husband, Mike. We actually went to kindergarten and 1st grade together. We both, our families are from the same small town. So like his grandparents, our grandparents, we have that connection. But then they moved away after 2nd grade to Connecticut. Didn't see each other, didn't keep in touch. Then he ended up transferring to Bowling Green, where I went, and kind of a mutual relative friend had told him, hey, maybe you should look Amy up. And then we happened to run in each other, and that was that.
Aw, that's sweet.
The rest is history, as they say.
I'm Laura, and I've been married. It'll be 26 years in June. And my husband and I, Chris, we met on Fort Myers Beach. It was 1994, and we stayed in touch, lost touch, stayed in touch, and then he ended up calling me in 1997, and his first question when he called me was, "Are you married?" And of course I wasn't. Of course I wasn't. So he was like all happy, and so we started dating officially that year.
That's cute.
That is really cute.
And my name is Kate. My husband and I have been married for 17 years in August. Since we're telling our origin stories, I met my husband in Chicago through some mutual friends. So my best friend from forever, from growing up, was roommates with his best friend, and they introduced us. So the rest, as you say, Shannon, is history.
I love it. I wish my story was as simple as that. So my name is Shannon, and we'll be married 12 years this June, which I feel like we need to know everybody's actual anniversary date. We have 3 Junes. Are you June too, Kalila?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So, Kate, you're the odd one out.
Shoot.
Sorry. And I met my husband actually through my mother because he was a teacher at the same school that she was, and I was volunteering in her building and noticed him and thought he was very good looking and decided that I needed to find a way to organically meet him, which did not happen organically, but as you would say, I did a little stalking and it worked out okay, not in a creepy way. And then my mom kind of helped seal the deal by reaching out and suggesting that we go on a date.
Nice. And I'm
Nice.
Kalila. I will be married for 9 years in June. And so DJ and I met at Ashland University. And I say he stalked me. I actually knew him from some other friends, and I did not like him. He was like star of the football team, kind of cocky, annoying, and rude. He was so rude. I remember hanging out with him a few times, and I was like, I don't see why people talk to this dude. And then we had a mutual friend. It was like a week before her graduation party. And he called me, and I didn't know she had put his number in my phone. And so it came up as DJ. And I was like, why do I have this guy's number in my phone? Like, why is he calling me? And he was just like, hey, I want to hang out with you and I want to get to know you. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not the one. But he's like, no, I really want to get to know you and I really like you and we should date and stuff. So he's like, I'll go to like our friend's graduation party if you're going to be there. And I was like, well, I'm going to be there. I don't really care if you're going to be there or not. But we went and we hung out that day. And I was like, oh, he was actually pretty cool. And like, he wasn't as rude and cocky as I had known him to be before. And then like that year I ended up, because I had graduated, he's younger than me. So I had graduated, but I went back to get my master's at Ashland because I didn't end up getting a teaching job. So he was still on campus and we were like, oh, well, let's hang out one night. And I was like, okay, whatever. We'll sit like in the lobby of your dorm and just like talk and, get this over with. And you'll see that I'm not like the girl for you or whatever. And it was the best night, you guys. I was like, I cannot wait to see him again. We just talked about anything and everything. And he is such a gentleman. And then I was hooked from there on.
Man.
So that's our story.
Aw.
I like that.
I don't think I'd heard the ending of that story, so that's good to hear.
I don't think I knew any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're very different people, but it's been fun and crazy. And I'm only 9 years in, so. All right, so well, let me jump in there and tell you.
Yeah.
How, do you want me to start with the question that I kind of, it's kind of a combination of different thoughts. I feel like once I started thinking about one part, and then it kind of led me to thinking about something else. One of the main questions I think that I've also talked with other friends about is that how that definition of love has changed from when we first met and when we were dating and then getting married and through the seasons of life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that I feel like is, I don't know, one of the things that I've learned most and what we've learned about each other and has also been like the most challenging. So when I think back to, being newly married and then a mother and then the elementary age of your kids. My kids now are 29 and 22. And, you have those different challenges as parents and as a married couple, I think, for each of those stages, even, once they graduate and then college and then becoming an empty nester. And then now kind of where I'm at, where we are at this point in our life. And I really just describe it as a roller coaster. I mean, there are so many ups and downs through it all. And the challenges, I think that's how, when I think of how the love has changed, is that you just learn, you learn what works and what doesn't work. I think almost this stage in some ways is not really the hardest as far as thinking of the parenting, but just learning how to live without children. I mean, our son still lives with us, but I just mean without living those responsibilities. And I remember thinking when Ella graduated, kind of jokingly, but not jokingly, I said, great, now it's just you and me, or now we're stuck with each other. And, kind of that's a joke, but I just kind of pictured us just, okay, now what do we do? Kind of when we brought home Colin from the hospital, it's like, okay, now what? Like now that we have this tiny, tiny baby. I'm an emotional person anyways. And so thinking about not, the kids being grown and, doing their own thing and not needing you as much and everything. And so I actually went, in pretty dark places when that kind of all started happening, and, the depression and anxiety. And then, we did some counseling and kind of just thinking through like this next stage in our life, thinking of, we've been through many illnesses and surgeries and aging parents, all these things that happen at this stage, I guess. And so you really see that, how that love is shown in a different way. So for example, like my daughter has been dating somebody for almost 5 years. And after I had a major surgery 2 years ago, and no, this was the most recent one, 7 weeks ago. There's been a lot. They were up sitting in our room, and we're just kind of just talking, and I said, and I had these drainage things coming out from where they did surgery and stuff, and so they kind of were seeing that. I'm like, ooh, and I said, you guys, this right here is marriage. And so they had seen how Mike has had to take care of me and just step up and do so many things. And this wasn't the first time. We've had several different things where this times this has had to happen. And it's I just feel like it gets more as you go through those challenges in life. You really learn to appreciate each other more, and how much I really feel like choosing who you're going to marry or spend your life with is the most important decision that you make. Choosing your college, choosing your career, all those things are important, but this is the person that you're spending the rest of your life with, and through the good and the bad times.
Yeah.
I feel like, Amy, that resonates with like my marriage to Eric too. Like 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with melanoma just as our twin daughters were born. And it was very difficult, obviously, because I was going through a year of therapy. And that's when I feel like our marriage really shifted, and I had to lean on him a lot. And I saw him really step up to that moment of, like he had to take the burden of a lot of things, taking care of me, and like being vulnerable in that moment of physically weak, emotionally weak. That says a lot about the partnership that you're building through your marriage, about whether, you can weather those kinds of good and bad storms too.
Mhm. But I think too, like to piggyback on to both of you, I think that I call those seasons, like seasons of friendship. And it only creates a deeper love. And so it's kind of like the roots of a tree or a plant, and the roots only get deeper and deeper and deeper with all of the things that you go through. So whether that's illnesses, like for Chris and I, it's like losing our parents and, sending kids off to college and, all the things that we go through. And it just creates a deeper love, something that I could never share with anyone else. Even if Chris and I were to divorce today, I mean, I can't reciprocate that. I can't duplicate that, because it's such a deep love that you can't do that.
All these words of wisdom.
I know. I'm just soaking it. I'm writing notes down, you
Right.
guys.
It's just interesting because we're all at different.
Yeah. But even like you guys like talking about taking care of each other, like when I looked at that question, I didn't even think about the fact like after I had Miles and my C-section and my other surgery, I was really out for a while. And DJ did, like he took care of me, and we're like, I'm in my 30s and my husband's helping me take a shower. Like never would I thought that would happen. And he's cleaning my wounds, and he did. Like the first few months I was so out of it, he took care of Miles, and he was pretty much like a single parent. And obviously I remember that and give him credit for it, but I never really necessarily connected that to how our love has shifted as a couple. So I like that you guys all said that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think with all of it, I think, like I said, it's just for me and what I experience with Chris, I just feel like with each up and down, all
Mhm.
of the ups and downs, it just weaves him and I more and more together. And, you know, I don't know, it's just a deeper love. It's like I look at when we first met and like, after each kid or just different times of our marriage to now. And I know he feels the same way because we've talked about this. It's just a different kind of love.
Mhm.
Definitely evolves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We talk about that a lot, actually, about like, I think at the beginning of your marriage, there's a lot of talk about, oh, well, don't expect me to change because, you know who I am. You knew who you were getting when you got into this. And there's just a lot, there's always like this, like, I'm me. And if you don't like me, then I don't know what to tell you kind of thing. And it could
Mhm.
go both ways. And you could say, like, this is just my personality. And more recently, within like the last, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years or so, I really stopped and thought about it for myself personally, and then was able to bring it to our relationship and kind of say, like, I'm not the same person I was when we got married. I'm not the same person I was when I met you.
Mhm.
Motherhood alone is like the most drastic change I think that's underestimated for women, and the literal all life consuming part of just motherhood, where it's like
Right.
physical, emotional, hormonal, you name it. And a lot of which is not talked about mainstream wise. So you don't really know what you're getting into. And then also the
Mhm.
fact that your partner is, they can't understand what that feels like themselves. But I feel like with every kid I've had, I've changed and grown and learned, and you're like an older person and you become more mature, even how you relate to people that you work with. And so I'm like, I don't think we can say this anymore, that like this is who I am, and like you kind of have
Mhm.
to just deal with it. It's kind of like, no, we've evolved in our lives as professionals, as parents, as
Mhm.
friends, as children of our parents. So I'm like, it's silly to think that like we would say we weren't going to evolve in a relationship, that who you are in your relationship can't evolve and become something else. And you don't have to frame it up as like, you need to change this for me, but to say you can't grow and evolve in certain areas, I think is a misnomer. Something that I feel like has, that you hear when you first get married, or that you when you talk about, or when you get in arguments or whatever, it's something that you fall upon, and it's not necessarily the case.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I
that's
think
something I would say to people too. I feel like that's part of the problem with people is I think life is about evolving and becoming
Hmm.
a better person, a better friend, a better wife, a better coworker. Like that's life, right? And I
Right.
feel like when people say that, and men in particular, when they say, "Oh, I'm not going to change," and I think that's the sad part. I think that's what's
Hmm.
happening with marriages is people aren't evolving and they're not changing and they're not, you know,
And it's
being
looked
that.
at like as a fixed thing. Like this
Yeah,
Mhm.
relationship is a fixed thing, and we come together, and that's like
we
who we are
love
when we
each
come together,
other.
and that's it. But it's really
Yeah,
like, not only are you evolving on your own, but like, as you said, Laura, which I love, with like the roots
yeah,
of a tree, it's like you're intertwining with every
mhm.
experience and interaction that you have together, whether
yeah.
positive or negative, and it shapes everything.
That I
Mhm.
think that's why, Shannon, I always go back to how you and your husband have those regular date nights. And I think
Mhm.
about like being a parent and how much, time and intensity it takes taking care of like
Oh
your
my gosh,
kids.
yeah.
And if
Hmm.
you don't have those touch points with your husband and make it an important part of your marriage, I
Hmm.
know Amy and Laura, you're like the empty nesters now. Like my fear, my kids are kind of those middle stages going into middle school and high school. Like in a couple of years, it's going to be just us. And if we don't have those touch points of like evolving
Yeah.
together and understanding each other, I worry like what will happen? Like what's next?
Yeah. And I have had several, and I think there are statistics kind of to back this up, but I have had several friends that it was after their children
Mhm,
graduated or moved out of the
mhm.
house and they got divorced. And, some of them
Yeah.
were married 30 plus years. Um, and I think when you said that about the date nights, we never did that. So that is a huge
Mhm.
piece of advice I would give to anybody. When you're is I was a nervous parent. I think that was part of it, just not wanting to leave the kids. And um,
Electrical
I think
storms,
what?
you and I thinking they're going to choke when they're home alone.
Yeah, yes. I have worried a little bit too much, but
No showers.
yeah, but looking back, it was like, it is what it is. I mean, you have to, you need to make time for yourself, I think. And then that's maybe why we have a hard time now. It's kind of like, okay, now what are we going to do?
And that too, you just said it. I feel like women don't do that. They don't make time for themselves when they are getting married and having children, because you're giving because we're automatically nurturers. And I think that's one of my regrets. I wish that I had done a better job of putting myself first, because I think, essentially that's how we are as women and mothers, is we just give to everybody else, and we don't give to ourselves, unfortunately.
and we've talked about that before. I kind of feel like it's two parts to that. I do like that now about this part. Like Laura said, having more time for yourself. You can do what you can, have more time together in privacy, to do all those private things and be spontaneous and not have to worry about that. However, the other side of for me is that this is this, and I've said to you guys before that, in years past, like, this is the worst time of my life. You guys knew I was going to cry at some point.
Oh no, it's okay.
Just that, I've always wanted to be a mom and the nurturing and all that stuff. And so, and like I said, I think that is when I really went, a lot of depression and anxiety. And, Mike stepped up as he did when I suffered from those mental challenges years and years ago. He stepped up and he took care of the kids, and he did what needed to be done. And so I am at a better place now. I think it's a lot about your mindset and how you look at things. And so now I'm seeing all the pros to that, and how we can do all of these things together that you can't do when you have little kids. So, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons, through all of those seasons. Yeah. And Shannon, you did say I remember one time you said that you're a different parent for each of your children.
Yes.
And then you brought up about how that changes in your relationship. And I think you are in each, and I think you are a different, you are a different person, and you do evolve. You do change. But then I go back to that really needing to know who you're going to marry as far as your core values. So I think of things, politics and these days and times, and religion, and do you want kids? Do you not want kids? How many kids do you want? Because I know, marriages that have ended because of those types of things.
Right.
And so, that's another piece, I think, that just kind of all goes together.
And
Definitely.
family history. I always tell my girls, you really need to look at, the person's family history. And how does their dad treat their mom? Are they still married? Are they divorced? How do they treat the step parent? Like, how does the son treat the mom? You have to look at all of that, because I feel like that plays into your partner as well.
Absolutely.
And how they're going to treat you.
Yeah, that's
We
great.
all bring with us
Yeah.
our baggage, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise.
Yep.
And I know, like, it makes me think, Laura, what you just said about knowing, like, somebody's family history, something I didn't know prior to getting married that I learned later in marriage through counseling and things like that. But we had heard of the 5 love languages, and that's something that we had looked at before we even got married. But when we were married, we learned about attachment styles, which is a different thing to look at in relationships. And that's more about how you formed attachments as a child and how you look at relationships as like an attachment. And you learn so much more about how you respond to love and attachment, and what that makes you do, like in your mind or interacting with your spouse or whatever, in ways that I had no clue. Like, when we looked it up, we were able to look at like our 2 different attachment styles and see, okay, we're spiraling because my bad feeds into your bad, and like it's like it becomes this cycle. But I think a large part of that too is that there is no, like, you don't really know all this. Like, you get advice before you get married, but you don't get you get advice on like like whatever kind of relationship advice, but not like how do you evolve your emotional intelligence to be able to care for another person and understand another person and know how to react to another person. And I think that comes from emotional intelligence, like things you just have to work on yourself sometimes. Like how you respond to something can be triggering, or how you don't respond to something can be triggering. And so it's, those types of things where I think we have to work on ourselves in tandem, I feel like.
And you brought up the emotional part, and I think one of the main reasons I wanted to do this with all of you is because as a woman at this stage of life, you're going through so many different physical changes. And, I have ovarian cancer and I'm in, no signs of it right now, but I was thrown into full menopause. And, I have many friends right now who are pretty much all of them are going through menopause. And there's so much that people don't understand about that. So when, we ourselves as women have to figure it out, but then it's just as important that our significant other knows that as well. And, I'm glad that I feel like people are finally starting to talk about this more, and it's not taboo, and people, women are sharing more, and tons of research is out there, I'd say in the last 3 years about this. And, and so much of it, there was just a talk show this morning, and somebody mentioned just the word estrogen and how, hormones, we've known that our whole lives is how much they impact all of us, our social, our emotional, physical, everything. And you have no control over that. And so, and, you have the mood swings, just everything. And so I really think, that one of the best things we can do as a wife and as a couple is just to educate ourselves on what everything that is involved in that
and
stage.
then educate our husbands.
Yes.
Because you guys have taught me so much about that already, to the point where I'm looking things up and trying to understand myself. And I feel like we have to teach our husbands, because they definitely don't understand. They very much look at things not to be like, just
and you also
black and white, but it's like they look at things like, what's the physical problem that I can help you solve? And a lot of the things that impact us are not things that you can see on the outside. So they not only can't see it, but they can't understand it. So
and they feel
you don't know
lost
what
too.
you don't know.
Right.
And it's hard, like you can't really get angry with them when this is all beginning, because I didn't know everything. And so, you don't know what you don't know. And so you can't really
That's
take
even
that
like I feel like the whole women's body though hasn't been really talked about with any of us really, but like even menstrual cycles with men, they don't understand that and the cycle and how that works, and what you are the week prior, and then the couple days prior to your menstrual cycle, and then after your menstrual cycle. I think the only thing Chris really knew was when I was ovulating. He had that down to a
The
science.
important stuff, right?
Oh, he knew, and he knew when my period was going to start. I was like, man, you got it down.
Those are the important times.
Wow. So I'll give him credit there.
That's so funny.
I think maybe if we talk about how you deal with disagreements or arguments at the different stages in your marriage, I think that's, do you guys all feel that it is approached differently, handled differently? Like, the different amounts of time you've been married?
I would say that a big learning curve for me and my husband were communication styles. Like if we get into an argument, I am like a I cannot stand conflict. And so the longer it goes on, it just like, it makes me so uncomfortable. But yet he needs the space to think about it, to come back to it. And somebody once said,
the same person.
Yes, and it drives me crazy.
Yes.
Like, we have to talk about it now.
Yes. I was like, I can't go to bed. And he's like, I can't not go to bed.
Right.
About it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I know, because somebody once said, never go to bed angry. Well, that was not a piece of advice we followed, because
I would say that to DJ too. I'm like, we're not supposed to go to bed angry. And he's like, well, tonight you're going to have to figure it out.
Right, right. So there's the piece of advice that we're like, meh.
Yeah, that's the one I didn't follow. Well, I
Yeah.
wanted to. Eric was not on board with that one. But
Yeah. I think with that, like, you know, you can't pretend that the situation is just taken care of, but maybe just go to bed with the understanding, like, hey, I still love you. We're good. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm just upset. And taking it from that point of view versus like you have to solve everything before you shut your eyes that night. Because I think
That's
that's
true.
something that we've had. Well,
Yeah.
me, like I said, I've had to learn because I want to talk about it. I want
Mhm.
to deal with it now. And like you said, he needs to process it. And I would push
Yes.
and be like, no, we need to talk about this now. I can't sleep. I can't do this. And it was me, right? It's about me
Mhm.
and my feelings, not considering the fact that he was not ready for this and he needed to think about it. And like you were talking about the different love languages and attachment issues, Shannon, I think it
Mhm.
went into that. So just to appease myself, I wasn't listening to what
Yeah.
he needed, which then adds to him not feeling validated in our relationship. So that I agree with you, Kate, like, that was something I had to learn, and I had to figure out, "Okay, what can I do for myself to bring myself down so I can go to sleep and that I'm not harboring on this, so then I'm ready to have a sensible conversation the next day."
Yeah. I think,
That's a very important point, like Killia. And I just actually learned that I feel like in the last 5 years is that,
oh, yeah.
I think the communication is a topic for everybody, no matter how many years you've been married. It just seems, and I don't mean to stereotype for men, but it just seems like that lack of communication.
Mhm.
Um, and I do think some of that is fear and of
Vulnerability.
vulnerability. I love that word
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Well,
that's a good point.
and historically, boys are not raised to be emotionally intelligent,
Mhm. Yep.
sensitive
Right.
men. It's just they get different signals from different places. So there's
Mhm.
never really
Mhm.
a strong like signal one way of like you can be this and this at the same time. They don't have to be one or the other.
Yep.
So I think
Yeah.
that's part of it too.
So
I
true.
think I think Amy, based on what you were saying about how you handle disagreements, I think what had come with me, maybe it's like once you get to the 10-year mark or whatever, like once you like get to a certain point, it I don't know what's in your brain, or like when you're with somebody and you get into arguments, you take everything personally. So it's
Mhm.
not like I have an issue with you not cleaning up after yourself in the kitchen. It becomes you have a problem with me. You think I'm X, Y, and Z. And then it becomes like, well, maybe we're not meant to be together, or maybe we're not supposed to be together because you don't like me because I do, whatever. And then I think as you evolve and grow, the way I look at disagreements right now, I'm like, okay, well, this isn't going to change us. Like, we're going to be together. I'm going to see you in 10 minutes, or I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, and nothing else. Like, we're still going to be together. So what do we have to do in this situation to come to either an impasse or an agreement or whatever it has to be? Because I'm kind of like, okay, well, there's another side to this. And so what do we have to do to get there? Because it's not going to impact whether or not we stay together or whatnot. And I think once you get to that level, wouldn't say it's comfortability, but more like you're at a level of like commitment to where your lives are so entangled that like disagreements or a blow up is not we're going to break up
Yeah.
situation. It's a this sucks situation. We know we're going to see it on the other side, but we can let that go. So I think that's like that early marriage anxiety maybe people have when they get into arguments and they think, oh, maybe I made the wrong decision, or this is like an impersonal indictment on my character because this,
Mhm.
and this. But really, it's how do you move after the fact that you've had these arguments? Because it's not going to change whether or not an argument shouldn't change whether or not you stay together.
I just think one of the very best things you can do in any type of disagreement argument, and again, I feel like I just learned this in the last, 5 to 7 years, is stopping, whenever, and putting yourself and seeing it from their perspective. So let's say you have a disagreement about if you're have young kids, like discipline, or with our son Colin, he as an adult, it was the hardest time for us as parents, and he went through a lot of stuff, and that parents should never have to go through, and we disagreed on a lot of ways to handle that. But the best, I think, if when you stop, once you have said your side or shared your feelings, if when you stop and you put yourself in their perspective and their shoes and actually think the way that they're thinking, it helps a lot. And it's hard to do. I almost feel like it takes practice to do that. But
Absolutely.
as teachers, we talk about empathy with our students, and that's putting yourself in their shoes. And so it's almost kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I always ground our like in certain settings too, like grounding yourself. Like I'll be like time out, and I'll stop and I'll like grab his hand. I'm like, we're on the same team. You and I, it's us. Like we're team Shandon, whatever you want to call it. Like we want the same thing.
Like that.
Okay. Like we want the same thing. So like a lot of times, like if it starts to become like you're taking it personally type thing, I'll stop and be like, whatever I'm giving off or whatever you're giving off, it feels personal or it feels like this, but you and I are on the same team. I'm going to keep coming back to that. Like, I'm not against you. So like, don't be defensive. I want you to be happy too. We just are trying to get to a compromise or a solution, but we're on the same team. And I think it's important to continue to say that, like, it's me and you. It's me and you. Like, we're not against each other. We can disagree and still be on the same team and just come somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I saw something recently. Somebody posted it was just like, like you didn't do the dishes does not equal you are a bad husband. Like things like that. We just hear it and we take it and run with it. And like you said, there might be some things in your past or something that you're internalizing, but it's hard, especially, right, if this is your best friend, the person who knows you the best, and they're questioning or critiquing something that you've done. It's hard not to just,
Take
take it
it
in as like, oh,
very
everything
personally.
is
Yeah.
wrong with me now. And you just don't like me. And it kind of almost goes back to your beginning of like, oh, well, this is who I am. So it makes you reflect. And that's always hard to look in the mirror and notice those mistakes that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Shannon just gave me some good advice. We're
I
on the
know.
same team, Chris. We're on the
On
same
the same
team.
team. You guys need to
We're
come
all
up
gonna
with a
be
name.
saying that from now
I'm
on.
writing it in my notes right now.
Right?
You just have to have a
You should
fun
get
name.
a shirt made, and before you go argue with your husband, just
Oh,
put
I
it
love
on. He'll
it.
be like, "Oh gosh, here we go."
Let me go get my argument shirt and put our team name on it.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
It actually isn't.
It's really
Yeah.
not a bad
It's
idea.
a reminder.
And I
It's like
think
the
it makes it
marriage
harder.
take on the
Yeah.
parenting shirt. You
Yeah.
get the kids in the shirt together and make them work it out.
I like it. Yeah.
It'll be a good notes for the kids too. Like, hey, you can't put mom and dad against each other.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Every
get
time
us
somebody
going.
says something, I feel like I have to stop and reflect about like we pause. I'm like, let me think about that. I did write that down and come back to it. But the
I don't-
team thing, I think it gets harder. It's easy to say, I feel like when our kids are younger or high school, whatever, because you have a lot of, you're doing so many things together and with them,
Yeah.
and when it becomes just the two of you, it's like, okay, it's a team of two instead of a team of 4 or 5 or
Yeah.
in Shannon's case, how many? 7?
7. Yeah. Which, can I say a side note, Laura? Because I think you're the one that told me recently about like wishing parents would talk to their boys about girls' menstrual cycles and like understanding that. I thought you had mentioned it, and I want you to know I took your advice and I had that conversation with Langston, my soon to be 6th grader, and explained it to him, and like he really like took it on, and I was like, I just want you to know, like he goes, all girls, all women, and I was like, yeah, man, you have to be really empathetic and be sympathetic to what they might be going through. But I want to say that I did take your advice, and it's like, it's up to us to learn these things from each other and like pass down to the next generation of people who will be partners and spouses for other people's kids.
And that's exactly what you just said. I mean, that's how you have to look through that lens of like, he is going to marry someone someday, and she's going to thank you. She's going to be like, wow.
Yeah.
The
things we learned.
Hey,
Yeah.
except I'm not thanking my mother-in-law because she taught me how to do everything perfectly, like the irons, the shirts.
Okay, who
bed
irons
sheets,
anymore?
like all this. And I think that Mike does some of that stuff, which I appreciate, but don't expect me. I said that from after, first year of marriage. Sorry, I'm not going to be your mom, so.
Oh.
Gosh.
Fun.
You know, all
Kalila,
this.
you were. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Kate, go ahead.
I was going to do another question, unless it was.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've been talking a lot about parenting, and the question you sent, Kalila, that really stuck out to me was, how has parenting shaped your marriage for better or for harder or for both? And I think it kind of, to me, you know, you talk about being on a team, and that has really solidified, you know, your partnership when we have 3 kids, and, you know, deciding what to do and getting on the same page has been challenging, but it also has been very rewarding of like seeing your, I don't know, your values as a family passed down to your children. And then I think too, like, it has helped me appreciate Eric a lot more. Like, you know, talk about women being nurturers and stuff. And I tend to want to, like, you know, show my love through acts of service and like helping my kids. And he is very much like helping to grow their independence and saying like, you need to stop doing the laundry for them. Like they can do it themselves, you know? So like that is something that I appreciate of like our yin and yang when it comes to parenting, of how he brings a lot to the table that I feel like needs to come to the table that I don't do.
Sounds like the balance, like how you balance each other in parenting your kids.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about. I come from a single parent home. And so my mom raised me and my dad wasn't in the picture. And so I always reflect back on my mom and how she didn't have anyone to kind of work with. All she had was herself.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine, because like what you just said, Kate, you know, Chris and I do so well together. You know, when I'm having an off day raising the kids, he would always pick me up and vice versa, you know, and like sometimes you just stand back the things he's saying to them and you're like, wow. And then I say to him later, I'm like, wow, what you just said to Grace or whoever was just so spot on. And you couldn't have said it any better. And so, yeah, that's what I love about having a partner. Makes our job just that much easier. And that feeling of being supported and, you know, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to make sure we tell them that as well, or tell each other, you know, we're so like jump right at when we can just tell them right away when they did something wrong, or, you know, whether it starts an argument or not, but to actually talk about that later and say, you know, I really like the way that you said this. And just, I think I feel like we haven't complimented or thanked each other enough for doing that. You got to have each other's back too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for us, since we're still in the early stages, you know, Miles is 5. For us, I think seeing him has kind of put a mirror up to us. So, right, he's in that age of where he mimics what we do. He says what we say. And sometimes it's like, so there's this thing that Miles was doing for a while. And like, whenever someone would say something, he'd be like, no, it's actually this. And I was like, this is so annoying. Like, stop saying it. Stop saying it. And then one day DJ was finally like, you know, you say that all the time, right? And I was like, no. And I was like, oh no. I was like, it is me. And I was like, no one's ever told me that I do that. I was like, it's horrible. But he was mimicking me. So I was like, okay, I'm seeing, right, the things that I'm like, okay, well, probably people don't want to talk to me anymore because I'm always doing this. He's like, no, you usually just do it to me. And I was like, oh man. So I feel like it's brought up like, okay, there's certain things that I do that I don't want to see other people do, or just in the person that Miles is becoming. Like, who am I? What am I modeling for him? What am I showing him? So, and we'll both step back and, you know, Miles will sometimes tell us like, hey, like, sometimes he gets mad at us. He'll be like, you're not a good mommy today. And like DJ and I will talk about it. And I'm like, okay, well, I probably could have done certain things differently. So it makes us reflect, and then we laugh about it and talk about it with each other. And then like I can see him trying to do things differently. And then I know he sees me do things differently. So I think for us in this early stage, it's just helping us grow as human beings.
Well, and I think, you know, parenting and marriage is like you literally are modeling the blueprint of how you should treat other people. And not only how you should treat other people, but you're essentially saying, this is the person I've chosen and I love the most and want to be my family, my chosen family. And so I should be treating this person the best, right? Or whatever. And so you were saying, like, how has parenting shaped or changed your marriage? Good, better or worse? And I would say, like, in different seasons of our marriage, there were things that became more glaring as our kids started to get older, where they would start to speak to me in a certain way or respond to me in a certain way that was parroting how he was talking to me. And it was very glaring to both of us, and like a wake up call of, like, he would get so angry, like, why are you talking to your mother this way? And I'd be like, yeah,
That's how you
hello.
talk, yeah.
Right? Like, who else do they see that's, talking to me this way? And so that was a big eye opener too, to say that, like, we talk about this as teachers. What's crazy is that we always talk about development and child development and relationships and things like that. And, we say, like, the unspoken curriculum, kids are always watching, like, how we interact, and they can pick up on unspoken things and body language and everything. And so having children is like that, it puts a microscope on your relationship and your verbal and nonverbal
Yes.
communication. And like you said, it's a mirror, but then it's also like, like a little reflection, like a little mini me walking
Mhm.
around. And I'm like, and then you feel like the sense of responsibility of, like, I can't have my children growing up thinking this is the proper way to communicate to somebody that they love, or even like, like, how can I model this? And then it turns into, like, not only do we model it together, but then modeling it back to them. And that goes back to learning more emotional intelligence of, like, understanding yourself and how we're supposed to interact with each other. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'll even say, because, Ella is in a serious relationship, and I'll say, and not to be mean or accusatory of him or anything, but to say, how would you feel if Blake said or did that to Ella? And again, that's putting, you think of that in a different perspective, in a different way too. Would you want, Blake doing this or saying this to her? And so, it helps you think about how you talk to each other and how your kids are seeing everything too. And I do have to say real quick, Mike's parents have been married 55 years, and my parents have been married 65 years.
Wow.
Nice.
And they both married young, but I mean, that's,
That's amazing.
yeah, it really is, for you think about 2026 and that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could go to the flip side and I could say my mom was married 3 times and divorced 3 times, and my dad was married 3 times and divorced 3 times.
Oh.
Oh my God.
We
Well,
can
they had
laugh
that in
about it,
common.
y'all. We can laugh about it.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Griffin, I know your parents are married. How long have they been married?
Yeah, a long time.
40. They'll be 44 years on my birthday this year. So
Nice.
yeah, so their anniversary is on my birthday, or my
Yeah.
birthday's on their anniversary. I stole the spotlight for a long time. now I let them have it back.
Aw.
So what about Ring? What were your parents married? Where were they?
50 years.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
Oh, yeah, that was last year. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
When- Yeah.
I don't know how long my parents have been. I want to say like upper 40s, early 50s. I don't know. I should probably know this. I know their anniversary is August 12th. I just never remember how many years it's been.
Yeah, that's good.
So.
Well, then another August. So now
See,
I'm not
there
the
you
odd
go.
man out.
You and my mom and dad.
I'll end up somewhere between 40 and 50 some years. Too.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Unfortunately, you guys both took my questions. Those are like my 2 top questions. I want to say, though, one thing about what Halsey Amy said at the beginning, because she started off with, like, how has your definition of love changed? And there's a couple of things I feel like I want to say, but, like, I think at the beginning, I looked at love as, like, you're supposed to find your soulmate, right? Like, you have this romantic vision of, like, I find the person and they're going to be the one for me, and it's going to, they're going to compliment me and they're going to think the same way. And then, of course, I met my husband and he was like, I don't believe in soulmates. I'm like, what? And I was like, okay. And I, as we all have talked about how opposite we are of our husbands, right? But I still held on to this like dream fantasy of like, but you're my soulmate, but you're my soulmate. And I've looked at it more now. We renewed our vows a couple years ago, and kind of wrote our own vows to each other in this new season of life. And we, had gone through lots of ups and downs, lots of downs. And so recommitting to each other and renewing our vows and writing them ourselves meant so much more, I think, than even at the beginning. But I looked at, like, in my vows, I wrote about how I had this obsession with being, um, having a soulmate. But I started looking at marriage as more like the verb of how do you be, or how can you be a soul mate? Like how do you try to align yourself and see this other person as like an extension of you, like caring about them in the way that you care about themselves, and holding their needs and wants and desires at the same level as yourself, because you know that they're going to do the same kind of thing. Like how can you nurture that part of you and look at it more of like a verb than just a thing. Like, I'm going to say you're my soulmate, and it's this, thing I can't see or touch or feel, but I know it was supposed to be this, versus what is it like to live what that would be, kind of thing. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, Halsey, with the definition of like, we've talked a lot about how love is a choice. And I choose to love him every day for who he is right here, right now, past, present. And like, it's really important, I think, for even people getting into new marriages to recognize that love every day is a choice. Every day. Like, not just the day you get married. Like, every day I'm choosing to say, I love you, and I'm going to put everything of me into you as we do this thing called life together. Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's really a lot.
That was really good, Griffin. I feel like we should just take that snippet and just share it with everybody
writing it
before they
down.
get married. That was
I mean,
good.
it really is, because you really don't think of it that way.
I am
Yeah.
You don't
taking
think of
notes.
it as choosing your, like,
Yeah.
saying to this person, I choose you every day, even when it sucks, even when you are
And
getting
there's
on my
gonna be days.
nerves.
Yeah. There's going to be
And I,
days when you feel like I don't want to choose
Yeah.
you, or I
right.
don't.
And not
That's what
looking at it
mine
as a
was.
destination.
I thought that lovey-dovey feeling would last.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people who are divorced say like, "Oh, I fell out of love." And I always wondered like, how could you fall out of love with
Right.
somebody? And unfortunately, I've been in a situation where I'm like, "Oh, this is what they were talking about."
Mm-hmm.
But then, like you said, I still choose to stay and fight and work through it. And I know that he does the same thing with me as well.
Yeah. Because love is what you do. It's not a feeling, like it's. And I've actually bought a plaque for us after we renewed our vows. It's hanging. I have like a little collage of stuff with our vows, and the plaque says there's no such thing as a perfect marriage, just two imperfect people that never give up on each other. And it's like my daily reminder is like, we suck. Like, as humans, we're trying to make this life work, but we know we're imperfect, and we choose each other every day.
I always say that we're imperfectly perfect.
Exactly. Exactly.
Here's one that I kind of had a. Can I give you one that I kind of had a hard time actually with? I think we may have talked about this before too, Shannon. I think you especially, but it was what's something that your husband does that makes you feel seen, chosen, or pursued, even in the middle of regular life. Because I think that's important. Important, but I really kind of had to think about
I
that one.
personally
And I
I've
didn't
gotten
have to.
to when Chris texts me in the middle of the day. I mean, he normally does that, but there are some days when he doesn't do it, and then I'm always like, well, I wonder why he didn't text me today. So I've grown to really appreciate that, because I know he's working and he's busy, but he takes time out of his day just to say, "Hey babe, how's your day going?" And yeah. And then we're really big on kissing each other before we leave for work, telling each other that we love, each other. We do it at the end of the night. Every night when we get into bed, on most nights, if it's not past 11, we'll give back rubs every night and just kind of just enjoy each other's company, and then say goodnight and go to sleep. So I appreciate that too. So
Mine that makes me feel seen is DJ will sometimes just stare at me, and it's like really
Aw.
awkward.
Aw.
But I'm always like,
Aw.
why are you staring at me? And he's just like, you're just so beautiful. Or he'll just be like, you're just such a good mom. Like, and it will be in the middle of just a random thing. Like,
Aw.
we'll be at the grocery store and I'm like, dude, stop it. But it's awkward, right? But it's like that moment of him really taking
Aw.
it in and appreciating me. So
That's so sweet.
I really love that he does that because it makes me feel like,
Wow.
he still loves me and sees me, and it doesn't matter what we're going through. He's, like you said, choosing me. So yeah.
Mm.
I'm going to tell Chris that one. I like that one.
I like that one too.
I like that
Like,
one.
just stare at me. Just stop.
I
Take me in.
I want
But
that.
don't have a weird look on your face while you're staring at me.
Oh.
There's an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond where they were playing some game and they're literally like sitting at the bed staring at each other. And Ray does it like for 2 seconds. And then she's getting all mad.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that show, it really hits home nowadays.
I
It's funny.
love
Yeah.
that show.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's real. I feel like that show is real life a lot. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
she yells a lot. They both have their flaws, but a lot of those episodes are spot on.
Yeah.
I think too, since we're all teachers and we know how hard we work, and I've been teaching 30 years, and so Mike knows what the beginning of the year looks like, what the end of the year looks like. I will say there's been lots of times where I feel like he didn't realize that, like during some of the hard times, during the year. But for the most part, I think them acknowledging, how our careers and how much time and effort we put into it, and I think how much we care about our kids and the type of personalities we have to have, and that we do have, I feel like, as teachers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And they all know, my family has always known, like when it's after a Valentine's Day party or, Christmas
Right.
and stuff. Okay,
Let her
guys, you have to
rest.
all sit down. Let me show you the notes I got.
Mhm.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. But why I'm going to say something is that I feel like one of the reasons that I wanted my kids to listen to the notes that parents wrote to me was for them to see that, because I feel like, again, I put students before my own kids for so many years. And, I feel like this is a way for them to at least see that this is what I was doing. Maybe I didn't sit down and play that game with you or read to you, and I'm sorry, and this is why. And, it wasn't just because I didn't want to do it. Does that make
Right.
sense? Just to,
It does.
yeah. Or I remember being at a graduation party. Elle and I both went because we both knew this person, and it was one of my students, though, and the mom came up and in front of her was just, saying the nicest things to me. And, afterwards she was like, Mom, that's really, you must really be a good teacher and stuff like that. So
Aw.
selfishly, that's just something that I, appreciated. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of like specific things that he does. I think they're more wrapped into like what we do together anymore. Because you guys are mentioning like we do carve out time, and nowadays we carve out time every day together, where we generally spend, I don't know, like between 8 or 9 to 10:30, 11 every night together doing something. So whether it's and we've realized it doesn't have to be the same thing, that his love language is quality time, and it's quality time where I'm just in the vicinity. Like my pin on the map is in your vicinity, and so that makes you happy. You don't have to talk to me. We don't have to interact, but just because I'm nearby, you love that, and that works great. And so like we'll do stuff together, and he'll read a book and I'll color, or we like to play a lot of card games, but we generally, like, every night we start with like a decompression like time. And I actually I was looking at some articles because I had read through one that was like, people that have good marriages do these 5 things, and there's like the clickbaity ones, and there's 1,000 of them. But there was one that I was like, oh, this is kind of like us. And it was setting a time to decompress, and whether it's together or apart. And so one thing I've really, really learned, and this can go into one of your questions, Kalila, because one of the questions was like, what are you still learning about your husband now that you didn't know before? And understanding how he needs to decompress, like, at the end of the day. Like, I know we're both teachers, and so I was gonna say, like, to your point, Amy, like, Ken and I were just talking the other day about how much we appreciated the fact that we were both teachers, so we understood how drained we are, like, at, like, the last week of school or whatever, like, how we're both looked at each other like, I don't want to speak or talk or anything right now, but just sit near me and be very, very quiet. So we at least have that, but to, like, give each other space. Like, and now I ask specifically when he comes home. It used to be he would be in a mood and I'd be like, oh God, what did I do? And I'd be trying to please. I'm a pleaser. So I'd be like following him around, trying to please him by doing something. And really what it needed to be was just alone and like in a silent room for 30 minutes. And here I am like following him around, trying to make him feel better. It's so I think decompression time, whether it's like separate and then together, is super, super important because we need that, like, especially teachers, because we're on all day long. I think like we just need a minute to like not be overstimulated when we get home. And then when we decompress, we also just like we do like a recap of the day. It's kind of like checking in where you are emotionally, physically, mentally, and we go through the list of kids and we talk about how everybody's day was. And then we just kind of hang out together and do something for each other. But I think that has made a huge, huge difference because we can anticipate, oh, later on this week is going to be really, really busy. And so what can we do in the middle of the week to connect? Like not too long ago, Camden was like, we have this going on, and this going on. And so Wednesday, he's like, we need to physically connect. And it's because like we both know that's like our love language and one of our love languages. And if we don't stop and say we're going to do this, or we don't stop and say, okay, on this day, let's make sure at 10 o'clock we sit down and do whatever it is, because it's going to be a stressful week and that will help us on, get through the hump of the week and whatever is coming next. If we make sure we can anticipate the stressors and be like, let's make sure we come together during this time in a positive way. And it really has helped.
That's good. Yeah, good.
You guys do a lot of great stuff, Griffin.
Hey, we had to go through it to get to it.
I like that.
But I love the part too, but I love the part that he's willing to do all the work as well. So that's like, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is work. It is work.
It is. That's the advice. Marriage is a job. It's a full-time job.
Yes.
That we choose and we love, but it's a job.
Yep.
Kate, what was your answer to that question?
You guys were all like super positive and like these wonderful things. So I'm going to take a little bit of a different tone because I feel like one of the things I try to work on with myself is like I feel like I get my value through other people. And sometimes I rely too much on like trying to be the perfect person, perfect mom, the perfect wife. And I think that the way Eric showed, like the way I appreciate him showing his love for me is when I'm imperfect. When I have a bad parenting moment and I yell at one of the kids and I go back and he like calms me down and he doesn't judge me for it. Like that's what I appreciate the most is he's never like, you really should have done that. He's like, you know what? That happens sometimes. Like you'll get him next time. Like it'll be better next time. And so like in those moments of like vulnerability when I'm like not my best self and he still supports me, I think that's the part where I feel probably the most loved. So
I love that.
It's kind of giving you that grace.
Yeah. I probably should do that a little more for him too.
That's why we're reflecting right now.
Yeah. I never really thought of that before. I was trying to think
next week we need to get back on and see like how happy our husbands are. Right? We had all this conversation. Go put all this into action and then be like, hey,
the boys will
are going to be like, you should have your wives talk together way more often.
So are your husbands going to watch this podcast? I mean, are you encouraging them either one way or the other to or not to?
I haven't said anything, actually. I was waiting to see what he said. I was afraid he was going to be like, wait, what? What are you going to say? Because like I said, we had to go through it to get to it. So he's probably like,
Hey, Kalila, maybe you should do a podcast with our husbands.
That would be
hilarious. So funny.
That would be funny.
We should.
You're
give them
on
the
to
same
something,
questions.
Amy.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
What
I
if we
think
did
that's
one
a
all with
great
them?
idea.
Yeah.
Okay, well, ask them. You guys ask them if they would be willing to. I know they don't know each other as well, which could be even more interesting, I think.
Yeah.
But they kind of, because they've all met each other, but they're not like friends like we are.
Sharing.
Right.
I actually like this.
And then we could all come back together and do one all together.
I would definitely listen to the podcast. I would listen to it. I'd be like,
right? Yeah.
Oh, I am so intrigued. Please.
Yeah.
Kalila, if you can get them talking, that would be amazing. We might learn more from that than I might learn more from that than in 30 years.
I would have to not be there, so like maybe like DJ could run it or something, because it has to be like
cool.
all the guys. Because like if I'm there, they
podcast.
might not be as honest. You know what I mean? They might feel like they have to say things
true.
different. But if it's just the guys,
that
I don't know. Think through this.
When Eric and I first were getting married,
for the greater good. I think this is for the greater good. Like if our husbands are willing to do that, and people watch this, and we've all been married a different number of years, why not help? Why not be vulnerable a little bit and help people that are starting marriages or wherever they are. We probably have to promise them something.
We know what they're gonna want.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy.
Okay.
They're doing it. It's good.
Sign a contract or something.
Well, that's funny. What were you going to say, Ring? You said when we were first married. What?
Well, Eric and I are Catholic, and so we had to meet with a priest and do like a questionnaire. It was like pretty much like a compatibility test. And after the priest went over, he's like, "Wow, you guys are like super compatible." And I was like, "Man, Eric, I can't believe we like answered the same thing for every question." He's like, "Because I just thought what you would think."
That's how you knew he was a keeper, though. That's how you knew he was a keeper.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, I love that.
Way to understand the assignment.
I was like, "Well, we're in."
That's so funny.
I love it. I love it.
That's good.
That's funny.
Okay, well, I'm going to end us with a sillier question. I had fun figuring out this one. So the one about if your marriage had a theme song based on your daily life, what would it be?
Roller coaster of love. Better watch. That's it. Literally and figuratively. I'll just leave that there.
I love it.
Gosh, that's have you ever heard somebody? I was thinking this. I've heard this somewhere. This too shall pass, and it just means your good times and your bad times. The challenges and things that come easy, like no matter like the roller coaster, no matter what it is, it's I think that's important as a parent too. Oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? You might think it's the worst thing that your child could go through, and then it's turned. So I would say this too shall pass. I'm not going to sing like Griffin did, but I gotta
you can edit that out. You can edit that out.
Oh no, it's staying. I'm gonna make mini clips of that.
There you go.
It's gonna be part of the promo video.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
You could do a rap version. Laura could do a country version.
I feel like this is a hard one.
It was hard. I had to really think through this one.
Well, what's yours?
I did the Ed Sheeran song, Thinking Out Loud. I just love that song. And I think that kind of goes well with us, like the we found love where we are kind of thing. I do really feel like no matter what's going on, like that love is there, and we just find new ways to connect and make it work. So that's our song.
I love that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of stumped. I mean, that's a tough one.
I know I'm the one for you, Laura, since you love country music, and I'm not a big country person, but I
was going to say, are you going to say Faith Hill and Tim McGraw?
No, God
Your
Gave
Love.
Me You.
That's a good one. Oh,
God
that's a
Gave Me
good one.
You by Blake Shelton, right?
That's a
Give
good
Me You
one.
for the ups and downs.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
She said,
That's a
sounds
good one.
Wait,
That's a
can
good
I
one.
piggyback off that?
Yeah.
She said, what's your song for me?
What's your song? All right, spin the wheel. Choose a song.
Okay, I'll
Right.
give you a song.
Okay, what is it?
This part I did
Just-
think about. So one of my favorite
gonna-
songs ever is Times Like These. It's originally by the Foo Fighters, but during COVID, a lot of artists, musical artists got together. If you haven't seen them, both of them really, that song, like, personally has gotten me through so much, the lyrics to that. And I think it because it started, I found it during COVID, but
Yeah.
you know, it's times like these you learn to live again. It's times like these you give and give again. It's time like these you learn to love again.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at you, Halsey.
That is
Yeah.
sweet.
I know,
Wow.
I love music, and this is but yeah,
That's a good one.
we could do silly
Yeah,
songs.
Well,
You're
that's what I
happy
was
to
going
know
to
it?
say. I was going to be funny, and
Yeah.
she would have killed me.
Uh-oh, what's your funny song, Laura?
No, I won't say it. Let's talk about sex, baby.
Let's talk about you and me.
That's what they want our song to be. DJ would be like, yes, perfect.
What's the rating of this
you better ask
podcast?
them that question or not ask them that question when you do.
right.
I'm sorry I
No,
answered
I
for you
think
guys.
I'd want to hear that, though.
No,
I
I
think
love
I'd want to
that.
hear their answer.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. Well, like I
Yeah.
said,
I
ask
wonder
your
what he-
husbands.
I
if
might
they're
have
up
to go ask.
it.
But
All
I've
right,
forgotten all
ladies.
the questions that we've answered. So now you guys got to send me the list of questions.
I know,
Yes,
right?
okay. I'll send you an email. All right. So the last thing I ask every guest on here is, now that we've heard your story, what do you want people to take away that can help them rise? So thinking about newlyweds, people who've been married for a long time, someone who's thinking about, should I get married? Just any person out there, what would you want them to take away from your experience?
I would say do all that you can to be the best version of yourself and bring that to the table of a marriage. And I feel like it's a constant battle of like working on yourself. I don't think it's like you just come to the marriage and you're just amazing. I think it's an everyday cycle of like making yourself better, a better version of yourself. And I think lastly is just communication. I think communication is key in every aspect of a relationship, regardless, marriage, together, whatever. I feel like communication is key. And I feel like, looking at my family history, you gotta really dig deep, and you sometimes you have to ask for help. I think that professional help is always a good thing in that area, in any area, really. But yeah, I just say be the best version of you.
Mine kind of goes along with yours. I think it's from a movie, actually. It's you make me a better person, and because through all of these years, there are times when I didn't feel like that. And so, but I think that is, I like what you said about, being your best version for yourself and for each other. Yeah.
I think for me, it's, we talked about being on the same team, and it's about the partnership, and it's about letting go of your own ego at times, and you're like giving up some of your independence and becoming a true partner with whoever you choose, and accepting them for their imperfectness and them accepting you for being imperfect, but yet that constant trying to evolve together.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I was looking at it as, especially thinking about like newlyweds, or even I guess anybody that's in a marriage or in a relationship, is Cannon and I talk a lot about how proud we are of ourselves, of being able to essentially rise after everything that we have been through. And how we hope that even at times when we're worried about, will we be able to grow our marriage and stay in our marriage in a way that fulfills each other, and you know, after the things that we've been through, can we heal enough and grow enough together moving forward to stay in this partnership? And we talk about how there's a lot of things that are still raw and still hurt right now, and that come up. But that if we can continue to choose each other and show that to our kids, and they can see that mom and dad didn't always do it right and made mistakes, and sometimes it was bad and sometimes it was this, but man, they really chose each other and came out on the other end like better people, better parents. And I just hope that they see from our relationship that the worst can happen or whatever can happen, but if you commit to somebody and you choose them, that you can rise on the other side better than you were before. So sorry.
Well said. Very well said.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Mine kind of goes along with that, just that idea that love is a verb, that you're choosing that person, that it's an action, that it's not going to feel lovey-dovey, happy all the time, but you still work through it and you work with that person. Kind of everything we talked about, the communication, the time together, even choosing that time. How are you spending your time? So when your days are hard and long, are you making sure that you're connecting with that person to make them feel seen and make them feel wanted? And really looking like I had to do past myself to that person's needs and becoming really that idea of becoming one.
Mm.
I love that too.
All right, ladies. Well, we did it with a lot of tears going around.
I know. I tried so hard, guys. I was really trying to make it through.
No, the way you incorporated Rise, Griffin, I was like, I'm glad we ended on.
Yes.
It's like you
I just
understood
really
the
was thinking-
assignment.
I was really thoughtful about that one because I know that's like the theme of your podcast. I'm like, oh
Yes,
man,
I appreciate it.
But
Good word.
yeah,
Well,
it is.
I want to thank you all for your time. I feel like we should just do this again someday.
I think
because
so.
I feel like this was a really good conversation.
Mhm.
When you guys were talking about earlier, as you mentioned, we're all teachers. I feel like we could do an amazing podcast about teachers
Yes,
and
we could.
being overwhelmed and things like that, and just talking about all the things that teachers do. But I thank you for coming on today and talking about marriage and being vulnerable about a topic that, like you said, there's a lot of things we shared today that people don't just openly share and talk about, that people don't think about. So I appreciate that. And I know my listeners will love it as well. And we'll work on the husbands coming on the show too.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Of course. All right, ladies. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you heard me say I was taking notes. Here are the things that really stayed with me. Amy reminded us of the importance of knowing your core values. DJ and I talked about this a lot before we got married, but it's not a one and done conversation. As life shifts, especially with parenting and new situations come up, it forced us to revisit what we value as a family and decide how we want to move forward together. Laura spoke the truth when she said that relationships need to grow and evolve, and sometimes that means getting help. Growth takes time, reflection, and sometimes you might need counseling or you might need to pick up a book. Marriage isn't static. It changes as we change. Shannon said something that hit home. We are on the same team. At our house, it's Team McCoy all day, every day. We only win if we win together. And sometimes that balance looks like 60-40 instead of 50-50. It's a partnership where both people have to be invested and working towards the same goal. Kate encouraged us to tell our spouse how much we appreciate them. Do they know the little things that we love that they do? Do we thank them for the big things? It's so easy to take things for granted, but appreciation helps keep the connection alive. And all of us mentioned marriage is a commitment, a daily decision to choose your person. And it's not always easy. As Shannon said, sometimes you have to go through it to get to it. Marriage can be hard. We even joke that if we had recorded this on a different day, you might have heard different stories and different answers to these questions. But the commitment to grow together stays the same. And I know some of you are fighting right now to keep your marriage alive. Some of you are in the honeymoon phase. Some of you are wondering if marriage is even for you. I have walked through all 3 seasons, so hear me when I say you are not alone. Find the support and wisdom you need to make the best move forward. I know we've all heard this passage read at weddings, but today I want you to pause and really let each line sink in. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. One of the questions I asked the ladies was, how has your definition of love evolved from year 1 of marriage to now? This passage from 1 Corinthians is the definition I try to lean on, not just in theory, but in practice. If you want to see the other questions I asked the group, they are linked in the show notes. Check them out and see what your answers are. All right, y'all. I've kept you long enough. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message and let me know what resonated. And don't forget to rate the show or leave a review on your podcast platform. It helps episodes like this reach even more people who need these conversations. And as you move through the rest of your day, I hope you take a moment to listen a little louder to yourself, to the people you love, and to the things that connect us in ways we sometimes forget to notice. I'll meet you back here next time. See ya, bye.